The envelope slips from Lior's fingers. It hits the marble floor with a sound too loud for paper, and he freezes, shoulders curling inward like a man expecting a blow. Around him, the palace hall stretches endless and cold. All white stone and gold trim that catches light from chandeliers he's never been tall enough to reach. His hands shake as he crouches to retrieve it, knees pressing into the floor that servants polished this morning while pretending he didn't exist. The document inside is worth $12 billion. Lior knows because he checked 3 times last night, alone in his room, door locked, breathing so quiet he could hear his own heartbeat. Transfer authorizations, corporate seals, his family name buried under legal terms that make his head ache. He never wanted Damaris to find out this way. He wanted to just give it, quiet, simple, the way he gives everything else. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Footsteps echo from the east corridor. Heavy, confident, the kind that don't apologize for the space they take. Lior's chest tightens as he shoves the envelope against his ribs, clutching it with both arms like it might escape. His pulse hammers in his throat when the footsteps stop, and he knows without looking that Damaris is watching him from the archway. "You're in the way," Damaris says. Not a question, not cruel exactly, just fact. The same tone he uses when he tells servants to clear a table or move a chair. Lior swallows and steps aside, pressing himself against the wall as Damaris walks past. The Alpha King's cologne fills the space between them, something sharp and expensive that Lior used to find comforting. Now it just reminds him of all the nights Damaris comes home late, smelling like someone else. Lior watches him disappear down the hall, watches the white cape trail behind him like something out of a painting, and wonders when exactly he became furniture in his own marriage. His phone buzzes in his pocket. A single message, no name attached, just a number he doesn't recognize. He's back. Lior's stomach drops. The envelope crinkles in his grip as his hands tighten involuntarily, and somewhere in the palace, a door slams shut. He stands there for 5 full seconds, breathing through his mouth, trying to convince himself that he could mean anyone, that it doesn't have to mean Ravian, that the past can stay buried where it belongs. But then he hears it, laughter, rich and familiar, echoing from the throne room. Damaris' voice, lighter than it's been in months, and underneath it, a second voice that makes Lior's skin go cold. He forces his feet to move one step, then another until he reaches the throne room doors. They're open just enough for him to see inside without being seen. Damaris stands at the center of the room, head thrown back, grinning in a way Lior hasn't witnessed in over a year. And beside him, dressed in deep crimson that bleeds against the white stone, Ravian Thornhall grips Damaris' hand like he never let go. Lior's breath catches. His vision tunnels. The envelope against his chest suddenly weighs nothing at all. Because Damaris is looking at Ravian the way Lior always dreamed he'd look at him. What would you do if the person you loved most looked at someone else like they were the sun? Ravian's laugh cuts through the throne room like glass breaking. Lior stands in the doorway, still as stone, watching the way Damaris leans into the sound. The Alpha King's posture has changed, opened up, shoulders loose in a way they never are when Lior enters a room. Ravian's hand is still on Damaris' forearm, thumb pressed against the pulse point, and neither of them has noticed Lior yet. "You haven't changed," Damaris says, and there's something in his voice Lior can't name, something warm, still causing trouble everywhere you go. "Only the fun kind," Ravian replies. His eyes flick toward the doorway, landing on Lior with the precision of a sniper finding a target. "Well, almost everywhere." The air shifts. Damaris turns, and his expression shudders the moment he sees Lior standing there, clutching the envelope like a shield. The warmth drains from his face, replaced by the distant politeness he reserves for servants and strangers. "Lior," he says, flat, neutral. "I didn't expect you," because he never does. Lior learned that 2 years into their marriage, when he realized Damaris scheduled his day around avoiding him. Ravian steps forward, and Lior's body moves on instinct, pressing back against the doorframe. The alpha in crimson moves with the kind of confidence that makes rooms feel smaller, and when he stops, he's close enough that Lior can smell leather and smoke and something else. Something that makes his stomach turn. "Still fragile, I see," Ravian murmurs. His voice is low enough that Damaris shouldn't hear, but Lior knows he does. Knows he chooses not to react. Lior's fingers dig into the envelope. The paper bends. He opens his mouth to say something, anything, but his throat has locked up the way it always does when he's cornered. So he does what he's good at. He stays quiet. He looks down. He makes himself smaller. "We'll talk later," Damaris says, already turning back to Ravian. The dismissal is absolute. Lior nods even though neither of them is looking. He backs out of the throne room, feet careful and silent on the marble, and doesn't let himself run until he's 3 hallways away. The envelope crumples further in his grip as he stumbles into an empty corridor. Chest heaving, eyes burning with tears he refuses to let fall. A servant passes by without acknowledging him. Another follows, carrying fresh linens, gaze sliding past Lior like he's wallpaper. He's been a ghost in this palace for so long he wonders if he died months ago and just hasn't realized it yet. His phone buzzes. Another message from the unknown number. "He won't need you for long." Lior stares at the screen until it goes dark. In the distance, Damaris' laughter echoes again, and this time Ravian's joins it. "If someone made you invisible, would you stay or finally let yourself disappear?" Damaris comes home at 3 in the morning. Lior knows because he's awake, sitting at the desk in his room with cold tea and documents he's pretending to read. The door to the master suite opens down the hall, and Lior's whole body tenses, listening for the sound of footsteps that never come toward his room anymore. They used to. In the beginning, Damaris would check on him before bed, ask about his day, press a kiss to his temple that felt like a promise. Now the footsteps just stop. A door closes. Silence. Lior sets down his pen and breathes out slowly, the way his therapist taught him before he stopped going because Damaris said it was unnecessary. The scent of Ravian's cologne drifts under his door, clinging to Damaris like a second skin, and Lior's hands curl into fists against his thighs. This is the 4th night this week. He tells himself it doesn't mean anything, that Damaris is just catching up with an old friend, that the way Ravian looks at Damaris with hunger in his eyes is none of Lior's business, that the whispers from servants about the Alpha King taking someone else to last night's gala are just gossip. But Lior has always been good at lying to himself. The next morning, he finds Damaris in the study, reviewing territory maps with Ravian at his side. They're standing close, closer than necessary, and Ravian's hand rests on the desk next to Damaris with their pinkies almost touching. Lior hovers in the doorway, waiting to be noticed, but 5 minutes pass and neither of them looks up. "The Eastern District needs reinforcement," Ravian says, leaning in to point at something on the map. His shoulder brushes Damaris' chest. "Unless you've gone soft since I left." Damaris snorts. "I'll show you soft." They grin at each other, and Lior feels something crack inside his ribs. He clears his throat. Once, twice. Finally, Damaris glances over, and his expression shifts into something Lior recognizes as impatience. "What is it?" Damaris asks. "I made breakfast," Lior says quietly. "I thought maybe we could eat together before." "I already ate." Damaris turns back to the map. "Ravian and I have meetings all day. Don't wait up tonight." Ravian smirks without looking at Lior. Just a small twist of his mouth that says everything he doesn't need to speak aloud. Lior nods and backs out of the room. His feet carry him to the kitchen where breakfast sits untouched on the table. 2 plates set, steam still rising from food that's growing cold. A servant enters, sees the setup, and starts clearing it away without asking. She doesn't meet his eyes. "Leave it," Lior whispers. "Please." She pauses, glances at the plates, then at him. Something like pity flashes across her face before she nods and leaves. Lior sits down at the table alone and stares at Damaris' empty chair until his vision blurs. His phone lights up with a notification. A photo posted an hour ago. tagged by someone at last night's event. Damaris and Ravian standing side by side, Ravian's hand resting on Damaris' lower back, both of them smiling at the camera like they're the only two people in the world. The caption reads, "Reunited and it feels so good." 14,000 likes, 3,000 comments, all of them about how perfect they look together. Lior's chest hollows out. He locks his phone and sets it face down on the table, then picks up his fork and eats cold eggs that taste like nothing at all. How long would you stay with someone who forgot you were there? The Crestfall summit begins with champagne and lies. Lior stands near the back of the grand ballroom, holding the envelope against his chest, while hundreds of mafia leaders and corporate wolves circle each other like sharks smelling blood. Crystal chandeliers cast everything in gold light, and somewhere a string quartet plays music too beautiful for a room full of killers. Damaris is at the center of it all, naturally. The Alpha King holds court at the main table with Ravian beside him, both of them dressed in matching black and crimson like they planned it. Maybe they did. Lior wouldn't know. Damaris stopped telling him about wardrobe choices 3 months ago. The envelope burns against Lior's ribs. Inside are the documents that could save Damaris' crumbling eastern territories, financial projections that took Lior 6 weeks to compile, transfer authorizations that would secure the kingdom's future for generations. He's been waiting for the right moment to present them. The perfect opening when Damaris might actually listen. Now feels like the only chance he'll get. Lior weaves through the crowd, keeping his head down, murmuring apologies when he accidentally brushes against someone's shoulder. His heart hammers so hard he can feel it in his teeth. The main table looms ahead, and Damaris is laughing at something Ravian whispered in his ear. Head tilted back, throat exposed in a way that makes Lior's stomach twist with a feeling he refuses to name. "Excuse me," Lior says softly when he reaches the table. "Your Majesty, I have." "Not now, Lior." Damaris doesn't look at him. His eyes stay fixed on Ravian, on the way the other Alpha's fingers drum against the table in some private rhythm only they understand. "But the documents are time-sensitive, and if we don't..." "I said not now." Damaris' voice sharpens. Around them, conversations pause. Heads turn. The string quartet keeps playing, but it feels obscene now. Too loud, drowning out the blood rushing in Lior's ears. Lior's fingers tighten on the envelope. "Please, if you'd just look at..." Damaris stands so fast his chair scrapes against marble. The sound cuts through the ballroom like a gunshot. He towers over Lior, jaw tight, eyes cold in a way that makes Lior's knees want to buckle. "You're embarrassing me," Damaris says. Each word lands like a slap. "Go stand with the attendants. Now." The ballroom goes silent. No music, no conversation. Just the sound of Lior's breathing, too fast, too shallow, while 300 people stare at him like he's something broken that needs to be swept away. Someone laughs. A sharp, cutting sound from somewhere near the bar. Then another joins in. Then another. Ravian reaches out, and before Lior can pull back, the Alpha in crimson grips his wrist. Not hard, almost gentle. His thumb presses against Lior's pulse point, holding him there while everyone watches, and his smile is the kind that draws blood without breaking skin. "I'll take those," Ravian murmurs, plucking the envelope from Lior's trembling fingers. "Wouldn't want you dropping important documents." The touch lingers. Ravian's thumb drags across the inside of Lior's wrist, slow and deliberate, before he finally lets go. Lior's ears ring. His vision tunnels. The laughter swells around him, and through it all, Damaris has already sat back down, already turned away, already forgotten him like he was never there at all. Lior backs away. 1 step, 2. His shoulders curl inward and his arms wrap around his empty chest where the envelope used to be. No one moves to stop him. No one asks if he's okay. He's invisible again, the way he always is, except now everyone has seen exactly how little he matters. He makes it to the corridor before his knees give out. What breaks first, your heart or your pride? Lior's hands won't stop shaking. He sits on the floor of his bedroom with his back against the door, staring at the empty space where the envelope used to be. The room is dark except for the silver moonlight cutting through the window, painting everything in shades of grief. His phone buzzes on the nightstand, but he doesn't reach for it. He already knows what it'll say. More photos, more comments, more proof that he's the punchline to a joke he never understood. The clock on the wall reads 2:47 a.m. when he finally stands. His legs are numb from sitting too long, pins and needles shooting up his calves as he stumbles to the closet. The suitcase on the top shelf is covered in dust because he's never gone anywhere without permission, never traveled without Damaris dictating the destination. His fingers brush the leather handle, and something inside him fractures clean through. He's leaving, tonight, right now, before he loses whatever small piece of himself is still intact. The packing is mechanical. Clothes he bought with his own money, not the designer pieces Damaris' stylist picked out. Documents he's kept hidden for years, birth certificates and bank statements and legal papers that prove he's more than the ghost everyone sees. And finally, the letter, the one he wrote 6 months ago when he first realized Damaris had stopped loving him, if he ever did at all. Lior's handwriting is terrible, always has been. All cramped letters and crossed out words. But the message is clear. I'm giving you everything. The accounts, the holdings, the empire I never told you about. It's yours, all of it, because loving you was the only thing I ever wanted to do right. He folds it 3 times and leaves it on Damaris' pillow. The walk to his car is longer than it should be. Palace hallways stretch endless in the dark, and every shadow looks like someone watching. Lior's heart pounds against his ribs as he clutches his suitcase, moving fast, quiet, practiced in the art of disappearing. A servant passes him on the stairs and doesn't say a word. He's grateful for it. The garage is cold. His car sits in the far corner, exactly where he left it 3 weeks ago, covered in a thin layer of dust that tells him no one's noticed it's been untouched. His hands fumble with the keys, metal scraping metal, and he's so focused on unlocking the door that he doesn't hear the footsteps behind him until it's too late. Going somewhere, little Omega? Ravian's voice is silk over razor blades. Lior spins around, suitcase falling from his grip, and the Alpha in Crimson stands at the garage entrance with his phone in hand, screen glowing against his face. He's smiling, not the kind that reaches his eyes, the kind that promises pain. Lior's voice breaks. I was just running. Ravian takes a step closer, then another. That's smart. You always were the smart one, hiding in corners, watching, waiting. He tilts his head. Tell me, did you really think Damaris would miss you? Lior's throat closes. His back hits the car door, metal cold through his thin shirt, and there's nowhere left to go. Ravian stops inches away, close enough that Lior can see the amusement dancing in his eyes. He won't, Ravian whispers. But I will. I'll miss knowing exactly where you are. Makes things so much easier. Lior's phone buzzes in his pocket. A text from a number he's been ignoring for months. The bridge. Midnight. Alone. Ravian's smile widens like he can read the screen through fabric and bone. Drive safe, Lior. You never know what might happen on those dark roads. Then he turns and walks away, whistling something that sounds like a funeral march. Lior stands frozen for 10 full seconds before his body remembers how to move. He throws his suitcase in the back seat, climbs behind the wheel with shaking hands, and starts the engine. The headlights cut through the garage darkness as he pulls out, and in his rearview mirror, he sees Ravian standing in the doorway, still smiling, phone pressed to his ear. The road to Crestfall Bridge is empty at this hour. No traffic, no witnesses. Just Lior and the sound of his own breathing and the documents on his passenger seat that prove he was never the nothing everyone believed him to be. His phone rings. Damaris' name lights up the screen. Lior stares at it until it stops. Then it rings again, and again. On the 4th call, he finally answers. Where are you? Damaris demands. No greeting, no warmth, just the same tone he uses when inventory goes missing. Leaving, Lior says. His voice sounds strange to his own ears. Steady. Calm. Like someone else is speaking through his mouth. Leaving. Damaris laughs, sharp and disbelieving. Don't be dramatic. Come back. We'll talk in the morning. There's nothing left to talk about. Silence. Then, Lior. But Lior hangs up. He turns off his phone, throws it on the passenger seat next to the documents, and presses harder on the gas. The bridge appears ahead, steel cables rising against the night sky like prison bars, and something in Lior's chest loosens. Almost free. Almost gone. Almost. Headlights flood his rearview mirror. Bright. Blinding. Coming up fast. Too fast. Lior's breath catches. His foot moves to the brake and nothing happens. He presses harder. The pedal sinks to the floor with no resistance, and the speedometer keeps climbing. 60, 70, 80. The headlights behind him flash once, twice, then they're gone, peeling off down a side road, leaving Lior alone with a car that won't stop and a bridge that's rushing toward him like fate. His hands grip the wheel so tight his knuckles go white. In his mind, he sees Damaris' face. Not the cold stranger from tonight, but the man from 4 years ago who kissed him in the rain and promised forever. I'm sorry, Lior whispers to no one. I'm sorry I wasn't enough. The bridge rail comes up fast. Metal screams, glass shatters, and the world tilts sideways into darkness. If you could leave one last message for someone who never listened, what would you say? The world is glass and metal and pain. Lior's eyes open to darkness thick as mud. And for 3 seconds, he doesn't remember his own name. Then it all rushes back. The bridge, the brakes, the moment his car stopped being a vehicle and became a coffin. His chest screams with every breath, ribs grinding against something broken inside. And when he tries to move his left arm, white-hot agony shoots through his shoulder hard enough to steal his vision. Water drips somewhere close. Not rain. Coolant maybe, or brake fluid, leaking from the wreckage that used to be his car. The windshield is a spider web of cracks, and through it, Lior can see the bridge rail twisted at an angle that shouldn't exist. He's halfway through it, car teetering on the edge between road and river, and the only thing keeping him from dropping into black water below is physics and prayer. His phone is gone, thrown somewhere during impact. The documents are scattered across the dashboard, some torn, some soaked in whatever's leaking from the engine. Blood drips down his face from a cut above his eyebrow, warm and sticky, and when he touches it, his fingers come away dark. He needs to move, needs to get out. But his legs won't respond, pinned under the crushed dashboard, and panic starts crawling up his throat like insects. This is how he dies, alone, in a car no one will look for because no one noticed he left. Footsteps crunch on broken glass outside. Lior's heart stops. Someone's here. Help. It has to be help. He opens his mouth to call out, to scream, to beg. But all that comes out is a wet cough that tastes like copper. A shadow moves past the broken window. Tall, steady, not rushing, not panicked, just walking, slow and careful, boots grinding glass into powder. Lior tries to lift his head, tries to see who it is, but his neck won't cooperate and his vision keeps blurring at the edges. Please, he whispers. The word barely makes sound. Please help me. The footsteps stop. Silence stretches long enough for Lior to wonder if he imagined it. Then a face appears at the window, and Lior's blood turns to ice. Ravian crouches beside the wreckage, head tilted like he's examining a painting in a museum. His crimson jacket is spotless. Not a scratch on him, not a hair out of place. He looks at Lior the way someone might look at roadkill, mildly interested, mostly detached. You know, Ravian says conversationally, I didn't think you'd actually make it this far. Thought you'd panic and crash sooner. He taps the broken glass with one finger. You're tougher than you look. Lior's mouth opens, but nothing comes out. His brain can't process the words, can't make them make sense. Ravian isn't calling for help, isn't pulling him from the wreckage. He's just watching, waiting. The brakes were a nice touch, Ravian continues. Clean, professional, nothing that could trace back to me. He stands, brushing dust from his knees. Damaris will be devastated, of course, for a few days. maybe a week, but he'll get over it. He always does. Understanding hits Lior like a second crash. The brakes, the headlights that followed him, the text message, all of it, every piece. Ravian didn't just let this happen. He made it happen. Why? Lior chokes out. Blood bubbles at the corner of his mouth. Ravian's smile is the kind that belongs in nightmares. Because you were in the way, and I don't share. He checks his watch, casual, like he's running late for lunch. You've got maybe 10 minutes before that car drops. I'd say make peace with whatever God you believe in, but I don't think anyone's listening to you anymore. He turns to leave. Damaris, Lior gasps. He'll know. He'll find out what you did. Ravian pauses, looks back over his shoulder. Will he, or will he be too busy with me to notice? He winks. Enjoy the fall, little Omega. The footsteps fade. An engine starts somewhere in the distance. Tires on asphalt. Then nothing but the sound of metal groaning and Lior's own ragged breathing. His hand moves on instinct, reaching for the passenger seat where his phone should be. Fingers brush paper instead. The documents, his family's fortune, everything he tried to give away. He grabs one with shaking fingers, holds it close enough to read in the dim light. Transfer authorizations, billions in holdings, all in his name, all going to Damaris if he dies. Except now they won't, because Lior won't let them. He can't reach his phone, can't call for help, can't stop what's coming. But he can do one thing. With his working hand, he drags himself forward, ignoring the screaming in his ribs, and shoves the documents into the glove compartment. Then he pulls out the pen he always keeps there, the one Damaris gave him on their first anniversary, and writes across the back of the last page in handwriting that barely looks human. Since I was never enough for you in life, I will not support you in death. Everything returns to the people. Not to a king who could not protect his own Omega. The car shifts. Metal shrieks. Lior's stomach lurches as gravity starts winning. His last thought isn't of Damaris. It's of the boy he used to be before he learned to love someone who couldn't love him back. Before he made himself small enough to fit into corners. Before he decided his own worth was measured by how much pain he could endure. The car tips. The bridge rail snaps. And Lior closes his eyes. When the world gives up on you, do you give up on yourself? Damaris stands at a podium that costs more than most people's houses and lies to 300 cameras. It is with deep regret that I announce my intention to move forward, he says. The words taste like ash, but his face remains stone. Alpha kings don't crack in public. They don't bleed where people can see. Lior Rennon was my husband, but our paths had already diverged before his tragic passing. In honor of his memory, I will not let grief prevent progress. The press room erupts. Questions fly like bullets. How soon? How could he? What about respect? Damaris ignores them all. His hand reaches out, and Ravian steps into frame beside him, dressed in black and crimson, looking like victory personified. I'm honored to stand beside the Alpha King during this difficult transition, Ravian says into the microphone. His voice is velvet wrapped around steel. We'll face the future together, as we always should have. Camera flashes explode. The internet catches fire. Damaris' phone buzzes with notifications he'll never read. He just stares straight ahead, jaw tight, and tells himself this is what strength looks like. Later, in his private office, he signs the papers his lawyers prepared. Post-death divorce, annulment of titles, erasure of Lior's name from every official record, like the boy never existed at all. The pen moves across paper with mechanical precision, and Damaris doesn't let himself think about the way Lior used to organize documents at this very desk, tongue caught between his teeth in concentration. Ravian watches from the leather chair by the window, legs crossed, smiling like a cat that caught the canary. You're doing the right thing, he says. Can't be tied to the past forever. Damaris nods, signs another page, and another. His hand doesn't shake. Alpha kings don't shake. The funeral is small. Damaris doesn't attend. He sends flowers instead, white lilies that mean nothing, and a card that reads "Rest well" because his secretary wrote it and he didn't care enough to change the words. Servants whisper in corners about the empty chair at dinner, the room that stays locked, the king who won't say his dead husband's name. 3 weeks pass, then 4. Ravian moves into the master suite like he never left. His clothes fill the closet where Lior's used to hang. His cologne replaces the faint lavender scent that used to cling to the pillows. At night, when Damaris lies awake staring at the ceiling, Ravian's breathing beside him sounds wrong. Too deep, too present, too alive. But Damaris doesn't say anything, because this is what he wanted. This is what he chose. The strong alpha who matches his power. The partner who doesn't flinch when he raises his voice. The lover who doesn't clutch documents to his chest like armor. He got exactly what he thought he wanted. The engagement announcement happens during a state dinner. Ravian stands, glass of champagne raised, and declares his intention to marry the Alpha King within the year. Applause follows, polite and hollow, and Damaris forces himself to smile, to nod, to play the part of a man who isn't haunted by the ghost of someone he threw away. That night, alone in the bathroom while Ravian sleeps, Damaris catches his reflection in the mirror. His eyes look empty. His face looks older. He looks like his father, the king who died alone because he pushed away everyone who ever loved him. The thought sits in his chest like a stone. He splashes water on his face and goes back to bed. Ravian's arm drapes across his waist, possessive even in sleep, and Damaris stares at the ceiling until dawn breaks and he can pretend yesterday never happened. How do you live with yourself when you become the villain in your own story? The financial collapse starts at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. Damaris wakes to his phone screaming, 17 missed calls from his chief financial officer, and a single email with a subject line that makes his blood stop. Urgent, trust liquidation initiated. He reads it 3 times before the words make sense. Private trusts, corporate holdings, accounts spanning 6 continents. All of them frozen. All of them shifting ownership. All of them connected to a name he's been trying to forget. Lior Rennon. By sunrise, the palace is chaos. Lawyers arrive in waves, carrying boxes of documents and expressions that promise disaster. The chief financial officer looks like he aged 10 years overnight, hands shaking as he spreads papers across Damaris' desk in a pattern that resembles a crime scene. "We didn't know," he says, voice hoarse. No one knew. He buried it so deep that it took 3 separate forensic teams to trace the connections. Damaris stares at a spreadsheet that lists numbers too large to comprehend. Billions, not millions, billions, in holdings, in assets, in liquid capital that could have saved his eastern territories, rebuilt his infrastructure, secured his kingdom for generations. Lior controlled all of this? Damaris asks. The name feels foreign in his mouth, heavy and wrong, like something he shouldn't be allowed to say. Controlled it, protected it, never touched a cent. The CFO slides another document forward. He was planning to transfer everything to you. The paperwork was ready, just needed your signature. The room tilts. Damaris grips the edge of his desk hard enough to make the wood creak. When? The night of the Crestfall summit. He had the documents with him, was trying to give them to you when... The CFO cuts himself off, but the silence finishes the sentence. When Damaris humiliated him in front of 300 people. When he shoved him aside like garbage. When he told him to stand with the attendants because he was embarrassing. Another lawyer steps forward, older, gray-haired, looking at Damaris like he's examining a specimen. There's more. A letter, sealed, to be delivered to you personally upon the execution of his will. The envelope is cream-colored, expensive, the kind Lior always bought because he liked the weight of quality paper. Damaris' name is written on the front in handwriting he'd recognize anywhere. All cramped letters and crossed-out words, messy and earnest and unbearably familiar. His hands shake when he opens it. The letter inside is short, 3 sentences that detonate his entire world. Since I was never enough for you in life, I will not support you in death. Everything my family built will return to the people, not to a king who could not protect his own omega. You had everything and chose nothing. The paper falls from Damaris' fingers. He reads it again from the desk. Then a third time. The words don't change. They just keep cutting deeper, precision strikes to every weak point he pretended didn't exist. Lior wasn't ordinary, wasn't beneath him, wasn't replaceable. Lior was the silent billionaire who loved him enough to give away an empire. And Damaris threw him away for an alpha who wore crimson and smiled like a knife. There's something else, the gray-haired lawyer says quietly. New documents. Arrived this morning. Evidence. The folder he slides across the desk is thin. Inside are bank transfers, phone records, text messages, maintenance logs from an auto shop Damaris doesn't recognize. The pieces assemble themselves like a puzzle revealing a nightmare. Payments from Ravian to a mechanic 3 days before Lior's crash. Text messages about brake lines and clean jobs. Security footage timestamp matched to the night Lior died, showing Ravian's car following him onto the bridge. And finally, a surveillance report that makes Damaris' vision go red. Ravian was there, at the crash site, watched it happen, walked away. The room spins. Damaris stands so fast his chair hits the wall, and every lawyer in the room takes a step back. His hands curl into fists, claws threatening to extend. Alpha rage boiling up from someplace he's kept locked down for years. Get out, he says, voice low, dangerous. All of you, now. They scatter. The door closes, and Damaris is alone with the truth and the ghost of a boy who loved him too much and the realization that he murdered his own husband by being too blind to see what was right in front of him. He picks up Lior's letter again, traces the shaky handwriting with one finger. And for the first time since he was 12 years old and watched his mother die, Damaris' velar breaks. The sound that comes out of him isn't human. It's grief and rage and self-hatred mixed into something that shatters the coffee cup on his desk. He drops to his knees, letter clutched against his chest, and sobs in a way alpha kings are never supposed to. Because he didn't just lose Lior. He destroyed him, humiliated him, let him die alone and scared, then erased him from history like he meant nothing. And the worst part? Lior still tried to save him, even at the end, even after everything. Damaris stays on that floor until his phone rings. Ravian's name lights up the screen. He stares at it until it stops. Then it rings again. On the third call, Damaris answers. Where are you? Ravian asks. Casual. Easy. Like they're discussing dinner plans. I know what you did, Damaris says. Each word is a blade. Silence. Then a laugh. Soft. Amused. Took you long enough. The phone screen cracks in Damaris' grip. I'm going to destroy you. Are you? Ravian sounds bored. Even dead, that Omega controls you. Pathetic. Damaris hangs up. Sets the phone down gently because if he doesn't, he'll put his fist through the wall. Then he stands, wipes his face, and walks to the window overlooking the city that used to belong to him before he learned it never really did. Lior owned everything. The buildings, the territory, the wealth, and he'd planned to gift it all to a king too broken to see what he had. Now that king is going to make sure the alpha who took it all pays every drop of blood he's owed. When you lose everything because of your own choices, is revenge justice or just more destruction? Damaris stands in Lior's old room for the first time in 4 months. No one's touched it. Servants were told to leave it locked, and they obeyed with the kind of relief that comes from not having to face uncomfortable truths. Dust covers the desk where Lior used to work late into the night. The bed is still made with corners tucked the way he always liked them. His favorite sweater hangs on the back of a chair, gray and worn soft from years of use. It smells like lavender and old paper, like safety and loneliness mixed together. Damaris closes the door behind him and stands there, breathing it in, letting it cut him to pieces. The documents spread across the desk tell a story he wishes he didn't have to read. Bank transfers from Ravian to Marcus Webb, a mechanic with a record for automotive sabotage. $15,000. Paid 3 days before Lior's crash. Phone records showing 6 calls between Ravian and Webb on the day it happened. Security footage from the bridge showing Ravian's car following Lior's. then peeling off moments before impact. And finally, the piece that shatters everything. The mechanic's confession, obtained by lawyers who knew how to ask questions with money attached. Detailed descriptions of cutting brake lines. Instructions to make it look accidental. A photograph of the car before it went to the shop, with Ravian standing beside it, checking his watch. Premeditated. Calculated. Murder. Damaris' hands shake as he picks up the last document. Surveillance footage transcript from the crash site. Timestamped 2:53 a.m. Ravian's voice, recorded by a traffic camera with audio capabilities no one knew existed. Enjoy the fall, little Omega. The paper crumples in Damaris' fist. Red bleeds into his vision. His alpha instincts scream for blood, for violence, for the kind of justice that comes with teeth and claws. But he forces it down, forces himself to think, to plan, because killing Ravian quick would be mercy. And Damaris isn't feeling merciful. He gathers the documents into a folder, locks Lior's room behind him, walks through the palace halls with purpose that makes servants scatter. His destination is the throne room, where Ravian is currently holding court with visiting dignitaries, playing the role of future king consort like he's earned it. The doors open. Conversation stops. Ravian looks up from his seat beside Damaris' throne, smiling that easy smile, and for half a second his expression falters when he sees what Damaris is carrying. "Gentlemen," Damaris says to the dignitaries, voice cold, empty. "Leave us." They do, fast. The doors close with an echo that sounds like a cell locking. Ravian stands, adjusting his crimson jacket, still smiling but with edges now. Sharper, more careful. "Darling, what's—" "Sit down," Damaris interrupts. He throws the folder onto the table between them. Papers scatter. Photographs face up. Evidence laid bare. Ravian's smile dies. He looks at the documents. At Damaris. Back to the documents. "I can explain. You murdered my husband." Damaris' voice doesn't rise. Doesn't need to. The words carry weight that could crack foundations. "You sabotaged his car. You followed him to the bridge. You watched him crash and walked away. He was in the way." Ravian's mask drops completely now, replaced by something cold and calculating. "You know it. I know it. He was weak, pathetic, everything an Omega shouldn't be. You were better off without him, and you know it." Damaris moves fast. 1 second he's across the room. The next his hand is around Ravian's throat, slamming him against the stone wall hard enough to crack it. Ravian's eyes go wide, hands scrabbling at Damaris' wrist, and for the first time since they reunited, he looks scared. "You killed him," Damaris growls. Claws extend, press against Ravian's neck just hard enough to draw blood. "You killed the only person who ever loved me without wanting something in return. And you made me complicit. Damaris." Ravian chokes. "He was going to give me everything." Damaris' voice breaks on the word. His fortune, his empire, his family's legacy. "He was going to transfer billions to save my kingdom, and I shoved him aside because you whispered poison in my ear." Ravian's lips curl into something that might be a smile if it wasn't edged with desperation. "Even now, he controls you. Even dead." Damaris stares at him, at this alpha he thought he wanted. This partner he chose over the Omega who clutched documents to his chest and loved him quietly. And he realizes that Ravian is right. Lior does control him. Even in death, even erased from records, even buried in a grave Damaris never visited. Lior still holds his heart. Damaris releases Ravian's throat, watches him slide down the wall, gasping. "You're right," he says softly. "Lior does control me, because he was everything good I ever had, and I destroyed it." He turns toward the door, stops with his hand on the handle. "I'm not going to kill you," Damaris says without looking back. "That would be too easy, too quick. I'm going to dismantle everything you've built, every alliance, every holding, every connection. I'm going to make sure the entire kingdom knows what you did. And then I'm going to let them decide what happens to you. You can't." Ravian's voice is hoarse. You need me. Without me, you're alone. Damaris finishes. Yes, just like Lior was. Seems fair. He walks out. The door closes behind him with finality that echoes through empty halls. When the truth destroys everything you thought you wanted, do you fight it or finally let yourself break? Damaris kneels beside Lior's grave in rain that feels like punishment. The headstone is simple, black marble, just his name and dates. No flowery words about beloved or cherished because Damaris didn't let anyone write them. He thought grief looked weak, thought moving on meant erasing, thought strength meant never looking back. He was wrong about everything. The press conference aired 3 hours ago. Damaris stood in front of every camera in Crestfall City and told the truth. About Ravian's crimes, about Lior's hidden fortune, about his own blindness and cruelty. The footage is everywhere now, trending across every platform, dissected by analysts who'll never understand what it cost him to say those words out loud. Ravian is in custody. The courts will decide his fate, though Damaris suspects the people will handle it first. Mob justice has a way of moving faster than legal proceedings, especially when the victim was an Omega and the crime was this cold. But revenge doesn't feel like victory. It just feels empty. I'm sorry, Damaris whispers to the grave. Rain soaks through his shirt, plasters his hair to his skull, and he doesn't care. I'm sorry I didn't see you. I'm sorry I made you small. I'm sorry I chose someone who smiled pretty over someone who loved me real. The rain keeps falling. The stone doesn't answer. Lior stays dead. Damaris' hands shake as he pulls an envelope from his jacket. Inside is a single document, signed and notarized. The transfer papers Lior prepared. Damaris added one line at the bottom. Executed posthumously in honor of Lior Rennon, who deserved better than me. Every cent of Lior's fortune, distributed exactly as he wanted. To charities, to schools, to programs that help Omegas escape abusive situations. Not a single dollar going to the king who failed him. It's the least Damaris can do. It's also the most. He sets the envelope against the headstone, weighted down with a rock so the rain won't carry it away. Then he reaches into his other pocket and pulls out something small. A photograph, old and bent at the corners. Lior at their wedding, smiling shy and hopeful, clutching Damaris' hand like he couldn't believe he got to keep it. Damaris traces the image with one finger. I loved you, he says. His voice cracks. I didn't know how to show it. Didn't think I needed to, but I did. I loved you, and I killed you by not saying it enough. Thunder rolls overhead. Lightning splits the sky, and Damaris stays kneeling in the mud beside a grave that never should have existed, crying in a way that empties him out completely. When he finally stands, hours later, cold and hollow and fundamentally changed, he makes himself a promise. He'll live with this, the guilt, the grief, the knowledge that he destroyed the best thing he ever had. He won't run from it, won't bury it, won't pretend it doesn't haunt every breath he takes. He'll carry Lior with him, forever, the way Lior carried him even when it broke him. The palace feels different when he returns. Colder, emptier. Servants whisper in corners, but now they whisper about him instead of Lior. About the king who cried on television. About the alpha who admitted he was wrong. Let them whisper. Damaris is done pretending to be stone. He opens Lior's room again. Doesn't lock it this time. Sits at the desk and reads through documents his husband prepared. Financial plans and charitable foundations and dreams written in cramped handwriting that makes Damaris' chest ache. His phone buzzes. A notification from his head of security. Subject line. Encrypted file Lior Rennon. Damaris' heart stops. He opens it with shaking hands. Inside is a video file, time-stamped to the night of the crash. Security footage from a camera angle Damaris didn't know existed. He hits play, and the screen fills with grainy footage of Crestfall Bridge. There's Lior's car, crashing through the rail, teetering on the edge. And there, walking up to the wreckage with casual cruelty, is Ravian. The footage has audio. Damaris hears everything. The taunts, the confession, the moment Ravian walked away. But then the timestamp changes. 3:07 a.m. For minutes after Ravian left, another car pulls up. Someone gets out. The camera angle is wrong, can't see their face, but they run to Lior's car. Try the door, pull at the metal, then they stop. Stand there for 10 full seconds like they're making a decision, and they pull out a phone. The video cuts off. Damaris stares at the frozen screen. His mind races. Someone else was there. Someone reached Lior after Ravian left. Someone called. Who? Ambulance? Police? Or someone else entirely? He hits replay, watches again. The figure is careful, deliberate. They don't panic. They assess. Then they choose. But choose what? His phone rings. Unknown number. Damaris answers without thinking. Silence. Then breathing. Then a voice he hasn't heard in months. A voice that shouldn't exist anymore. Hello, Damaris. The phone slips from his hand. Hits the desk. Bounces once. And through the speaker, soft and broken and impossibly alive, Lior's voice whispers, "We need to talk." The screen goes black. Lior stands in the doorway of Damaris' office wearing clothes that don't fit right and a face full of scars the crash left behind. He's alive, broken but breathing, real but impossible. The left side of his face carries a jagged line from temple to jaw, and his arm hangs in a sling that screams months of physical therapy. But his eyes are clear, sharp, nothing like the boy who used to flinch when people laughed. Damaris can't move, can't breathe, can't process that the ghost he's been mourning is standing 3 feet away looking at him like a stranger. How? Damaris whispers. Lior steps inside, closes the door. A nurse found me. Before the car went over completely, she pulled me out, called a private medical team I'd arranged months earlier, just in case. He moves to the window, careful, like his body still remembers pain. I was in a coma for 6 weeks. When I woke up, I had a choice. You let me think you were dead. You divorced me while I was dead, Lior counters. No heat in it, just fact. You moved on in 3 weeks, erased me from every record, married the man who tried to kill me. He turns, and his expression is carved from ice. So yes, I stayed hidden. I needed to see what you'd do when you thought I was gone forever. Damaris' chest cracks open. Lior, you what? Lior's voice rises for the first time. You're sorry? You didn't know? You loved me? He laughs, bitter and sharp. I gave you everything. My loyalty, my fortune, my entire self. And you threw me away like I was nothing. I know. Damaris drops to his knees. Alpha King reduced to beggar. I know. I destroyed the only good thing I ever had. I was cruel and blind, and I don't deserve forgiveness. I don't deserve you. Lior stares down at him. Rain patters against the window. Seconds stretch like hours. No, Lior says quietly. You don't. The words hit like bullets. Damaris nods, accepts them, prepares for Lior to walk out and never come back. But Lior doesn't leave. I watched your press conference, he says instead. Watched you cry on television. Watched you dismantle Ravian piece by piece. Watched you give away my fortune exactly how I wanted. He moves closer, each step measured. You didn't have to do that. Could have kept it, used it, pretended I never existed. I couldn't. Damaris looks up, tears streaming. Because you were real. You were the realest thing I ever had, and I was too broken to see it until you were gone. Lior crouches down, balancing carefully on his good leg. They're eye level now, close enough that Damaris can see the gold flecks in Lior's brown eyes he never took time to notice before. I didn't come back for you, Lior says. I came back because I needed to close that chapter, to see if the man I loved was ever real or if I just invented him in my head. What did you find? Lior's hand reaches out, trembling, unsure. His fingers brush Damaris' cheek, tracing the path of tears. I found someone who finally broke open, someone who chose truth over pride, someone who might actually be capable of changing. He pulls back. But trust doesn't rebuild in a day. Love doesn't heal because you cry nice. I know. Damaris catches Lior's hand before it fully retreats. Holds it gentle, like something precious he finally learned not to crush. So let me earn it. However long it takes, however much distance you need. I'll wait, I'll prove it. Every single day for the rest of my life if that's what you need. Lior's eyes search his face, looking for lies, for performance, for the cold alpha who humiliated him in front of hundreds. Whatever he finds makes something in his expression soften. I have conditions, Lior says. Anything. Therapy. Real therapy. Both of us. Together and separate. Done. You don't make decisions about my fortune. It stays in my control. You want something, you ask. Absolutely. And you prove it. Lior's voice hardens. Every day. With actions, not words. Because I already know you can say pretty things. I need to see if you can actually be different. Damaris nods, squeezes Lior's hand once. I'll spend the rest of my life proving it. They sit there on the office floor, two broken people trying to figure out if love can grow back from scorched earth. Outside, the city moves on. Inside, something fragile starts taking root. It's not forgiveness yet. It's not even close to what they had before. But it's a beginning. When someone breaks you completely, can you choose to let them try again? Or is walking away the only way to heal? 6 months later, Lior laughs at something Damaris said, and the sound fills the kitchen like sunlight. It's a small laugh, careful, but it's real, and Damaris feels it in his chest like a victory he'll never take for granted. They're cooking together, something they never did before, Lior directing while Damaris chops vegetables with the intense focus of a man who's learned that showing up matters more than being perfect. You're doing it wrong, Lior says, leaning over to adjust Damaris' grip on the knife. His scars have faded to silver lines, and he moves easier now, physical therapy paying off. Like this. See, their hands overlap. Damaris breathes in lavender and safety and allows himself one moment of gratitude that Lior came back. That he's here, that he's giving them a chance to rebuild from ashes. Therapy helps. 3 times a week, they sit in uncomfortable chairs and talk about things Damaris used to bury. His childhood, his father, the way he learned to equate emotion with weakness and love with control. Lior talks too, about making himself small, about confusing endurance with devotion, about learning that loving someone doesn't mean disappearing. They're different now. Both of them, changed by death and resurrection and the choice to try again. I hired a new financial advisor, Lior mentions casually, stirring soup. Someone who'll help distribute the foundation funds. We're opening schools in the Eastern Territories. 3 of them. Damaris smiles. That's perfect. And I'm keeping the palace room. Lior glances at him. My old one, for when I need space. When things get hard. That's fair. Damaris sets down the knife, turns to face him fully. Lior, I need you to know, if this doesn't work, if you wake up one day and decide I'm not worth the risk, I'll understand. I'll let you go. Because keeping you here when you don't want to be is just another way of hurting you. Lior studies him for a long moment. Then he steps closer, rising on his toes to press a kiss to Damaris' cheek. Soft, brief, but intentional. I know, he says. That's why I'm still here. They eat dinner together, talk about small things, funny things. The servant who accidentally called Damaris by his first name and nearly fainted. The charity gala next month. The garden Lior wants to plant in the courtyard. Normal things, quiet things. The kind of life Lior always wanted and Damaris never knew he needed. Later, when they're cleaning dishes side by side, Damaris catches Lior's reflection in the window. He's smiling, actually smiling. And something in Damaris' chest settles into place. Thank you, Damaris says quietly. For what? For being strong enough to come back. For giving me a chance I don't deserve. For teaching me what love actually looks like. Lior sets down the dish he's drying. Turns to face Damaris with eyes that hold wisdom earned through pain. You're welcome. But Damaris, yes, keep proving it. every day. Because the moment you stop, the moment you think you've done enough, is the moment we lose this. I will. Damaris pulls him close, careful, respectful of space and boundaries and the trust they're rebuilding brick by brick. I promise, for the rest of my life. Lior leans into the embrace, lets himself be held. And for the first time since the bridge, since the crash, since the moment he decided to disappear, he lets himself believe that maybe, just maybe, they can write a different ending. One where the Omega who was underestimated becomes the man who saved himself. Where the Alpha who was cruel learns to be gentle. Where love isn't about grand gestures but about showing up every single day and choosing each other even when it's hard. They stand in the kitchen, wrapped in each other, and build their future from honesty instead of illusions. It's not perfect, it's not easy, but it's real, and real is enough. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more stories about second chances, redemption, and love that refuses to die. Drop a comment telling us what you think about Lior and Damaris' journey, and share this story with someone who needs to hear that healing is possible. Your voice matters, your story matters, and together, we inspire each other to believe in better endings.